Hollywood has always sold desire, framed in glistening smiles, silk gowns, and bedroom eyes glowing under key lights. But beneath the glamour of Golden Age cinema lay something far more primal and more dangerous. There were stars who weren't just adored. They were possessed by their own need. Some called them lovers of love. Others whispered crueler words: addicts, deviants, nymphomaniacs. These weren't mere gossip column footnotes. They were burning legends, both celebrated and scorned, whose appetites defied the morality of their era and rewrote the secret history of Tinseltown. Behind the velvet drapes of Bel Air estates and penthouse suites at the Chateau Marmont, passions flared with such intensity they could ruin careers, shatter lives, or even drive a studio executive to silence a scandal with a single phone call. This isn't just about sex, it's about obsession, power, control, escapism, and the profound loneliness that haunted even the most desired bodies on screen. In this journey, we uncovered 10 of the craziest, most insatiable, and tormented nymphomaniacs of Golden Age Hollywood, those whose appetites weren't just rumors, but forces that shaped their rise and, too often, hastened their fall. Step into the shadows. The silver screen glowed, but the hungers it concealed, they burned far hotter. Number 10. Rhonda Fleming, the flame with an unwilling reputation. In the gilded shadows of Alfred Hitchcock's 1945 Spellbound, a striking redhead made her mark with just a few lines, and a reputation that would haunt her long after the credits rolled. Rhonda Fleming was cast as a nymphomaniac patient in a mental institution. It was a brief appearance, but her magnetic beauty and steely eyes made it unforgettable. And yet in real life, Rhonda bristled at the label. The word nymphomaniac felt foreign to her, clinical, judgmental, even cruel. But in Hollywood, a single scene could define a woman forever. She wasn't wild, at least not by public standards. Born Marilyn Lewis in 1923, Rhonda carried a dignified elegance, but the industry wanted her to play danger. Studios leaned into her curves, her sultry smile, her technicolor radiance. In an era where women were either virgins or vixens, she had no choice but to lean into the latter. Privately, Rhonda struggled with the duality. Men pursued her, often for the idea of her, rarely for the person. She married 6 times. Each relationship promised stability, yet her partners seemed drawn more to her image than her soul. And so she became the accidental nymphomaniac, the woman forever remembered for a role she barely played, whose legacy speaks more to Hollywood's projections than her own passions. She lived long, to 97, leaving behind charitable foundations, a quiet faith, and a reputation that never quite matched the woman she truly was. Number 9. Marion Davies, San Simeon's secret flame. Marion Davies wore silk gowns and sipped champagne in the Hearst Castle Towers, the kept woman of America's most powerful media mogul. But behind the arched windows of San Simeon, rumor had it she indulged in far more than cocktails. Born in Brooklyn in 1897, Marion rose from chorus girl to starlet, but it was her relationship with William Randolph Hearst that made her a household name. He adored her, funded her films, bought her a palace. To the world, she was the loyal mistress, but those closest to her knew that Marion had needs, and she refused to apologize for them. The parties at San Simeon were legendary. Movie stars mingling with tycoons, politics and pleasure blurred by moonlight and jazz. And in the rooms behind the halls, Marion was said to have entertained lovers, both male and female. Some whispered she and Charlie Chaplin had an affair that nearly broke Hearst. Others believed her heart never belonged to just one man. Marion loved deeply, yes, but she also loved often. She never confirmed the rumors. She didn't need to. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, her laughter filled the hills, and her ability to balance scandal with charm made her a legend. At the end, when Hearst died in 1951, she was by his side, grief-stricken, loyal, and silent. She'd outlived the rumors, but they still echo in the walls of that castle. Number 8. Pepi Lederer, the lost flame of the MGM lot. She was young, sharp-witted and unapologetically queer, a living firecracker in a town that demanded its stars stay hidden in velvet closets. Pepi Lederer, niece to Marion Davies and cousin by extension to William Randolph Hearst, was born into Hollywood royalty. But Pepi didn't fit into the palace. She didn't want to act, she wanted to live. Born in 1910, Pepi came of age surrounded by the opulence of San Simeon, but her spirit rebelled against the rigidity. While Marion played hostess, Pepi ran with the fast crowd. Writers, radicals, women who kissed each other when the curtains closed. She was the kind of woman who lit cigarettes off candle flames and told dirty jokes louder than the men. She partied at the Garden of Allah, where the beds were always warm and the lines between friend and lover vanished with the morning fog. She slept with women, boldly, openly, and seduced more than a few of her male admirers too, if only to prove a point. Rumors swirled, trysts in guest rooms, drugs in her vanity drawer, scandal tucked behind her wicked grin, but Pepi burned too fast. By 1935, at only 25, her life had spiraled into addiction and institutionalization. Whether by suicide or accident, some say she jumped, others say she was pushed, Pepi fell from a window at a Los Angeles sanitarium. Her death was sudden, brutal, and quickly buried by her powerful family. To this day, her name is almost a footnote in Davies' biographies, but those who knew her remembered a spirit too wild for Hollywood, a woman who refused shame, who took what she wanted and left the world too soon. Number 7. Tallulah Bankhead, the woman who drank life dry. If lust had a patron saint, it might have been Tallulah Bankhead. With a voice like gravel soaked in gin and a wit sharp enough to slice diamonds, Tallulah didn't just enjoy sex, she celebrated it. Born in 1902 into Southern aristocracy, she arrived in Hollywood with a devil-may-care laugh and a hunger that couldn't be scripted. She made no apologies. "My father warned me about men and booze," she once quipped, but he never said anything about women and cocaine. Tallulah was famously bisexual, sleeping with anyone who intrigued her, famous or not. Gary Cooper, Greta Garbo, Billie Holiday, and Hattie McDaniel were all rumored conquests. She had a special penchant for women who exuded confidence and men who wouldn't try to tame her. When Tallulah walked into a room, heads turned. Not just because she was beautiful, which she was, but because she radiated danger. She wanted, and everyone could feel it. Her affairs were the stuff of legend. She was once found naked at a party, lounging on a grand piano with only a martini glass and a cigarette. When asked why, she replied, "Darling, overdressing is a sin." Her acting career was just as dramatic, brilliant, and erratic. She lit up stages with performances that made critics weep and torpedoed film contracts with absences and outbursts. She burned through lovers, money, and years. But even in her decline, she never once renounced her appetite. At the end, ravaged by pneumonia, addiction, and age, she reportedly said, "Codeine, bourbon, that's all you need." But she left behind something else too, a legacy of unapologetic hunger. She was what Hollywood feared most, a woman who took what she wanted and didn't care who watched. Number 6. Mary Astor, the diary that ruined everything. She was the quintessential Hollywood lady, poised, graceful, a picture of virtue in films like The Maltese Falcon and Dodsworth. But Mary Astor's public image was a carefully curated lie. The real Mary, the one she kept hidden between satin sheets and handwritten notes, lived inside a little purple diary, a book that nearly ended her. Born Lucille Vasconcelos Langhanghi in 1906, Mary Astor seemed destined for greatness. Her early performances brought acclaim, but behind the scenes, she was scribbling down the details of every affair she ever had, every man, every performance, every sin. She didn't just sleep with her co-stars, she documented it. There was playwright George S. Kaufman, whose sexual prowess she rated with cheeky precision. There were producers, directors, even a few unnamed diplomats. Mary wasn't just a starlet with secrets. She was a historian of her own passion. In 1936, during a vicious custody battle with her ex-husband, that diary became a weapon. He threatened to expose it, offering pages to the press, turning Mary's private record into a national scandal. The media had a field day. Headlines screamed of shocking affairs, the courtroom read passages aloud, and fans watched in horror as their beloved actress was unmasked as a lustful, unapologetic woman. But something strange happened. Mary survived. Instead of disappearing, she won custody. Instead of shame, she found resolve. She went on to win an Oscar. And while the original diary mysteriously vanished, perhaps destroyed, perhaps hidden, it was never forgotten. Mary Astor had done the unthinkable in a time of cinematic purity. She proved that a woman could be brilliant, promiscuous, and deeply human, all at once. Number 5. Barbara Payton, the starlet who sold herself. She had the face of an angel and the habits of a hellcat. Barbara Payton was everything the studios wanted. Platinum blonde hair, hourglass curves, a voice that purred seduction. But she was also everything they feared. Unpredictable, insatiable, and destined for disaster. Born in 1927, Barbara was a Midwestern girl with big dreams and dangerous appetites. She made a splash in the early 1950s, starring alongside Gary Cooper and James Cagney. For a moment, it seemed like she'd be the next Monroe. But Hollywood didn't tame Barbara. It devoured her. She slept with everyone: stars, producers, stuntmen, fans. Her romances were torrid, violent, and deeply public. She fell into a love triangle with actor Francho Tone and beefcake Tom Neal that ended in broken bones and tabloid headlines. The story: Tom beat Francho unconscious in a jealous rage after catching him with Barbara. But Barbara didn't leave either man. Her career spiraled. Studios blacklisted her. She turned to alcohol, heroin, and sex work. By the late 1950s, she was offering herself on Sunset Boulevard, still wearing eyeliner, still dreaming of being seen. In 1963, she published I Am Not Ashamed, an autobiography so raw it read like confession. She detailed everything: the nights with strangers, the beatings, the abortion, the poverty. It was less a tell-all than a scream for help. Barbara died at 39, her beauty wasted by addiction, her name forgotten by most. But her story remains, an unflinching portrait of how hunger, unchecked and unmet, can consume even the brightest flame. Number 4. Scotty Bowers, the man behind everyone's secrets. He wasn't a star. He was the man stars called when they wanted to be someone else for the night. Scotty Bowers was a Marine-turned-gas station attendant who, in the post-war era, became Hollywood's unofficial pimp. But he didn't sell sex. He sold freedom, from labels, from marriage, from publicity. From his service station on Hollywood Boulevard, he arranged liaisons for the biggest names in the industry: Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Lana Turner, and dozens more. Male, female, gay, straight, it didn't matter. Scotty claimed he never took a dime in profit. He just liked to help people. His Rolodex was legendary. His reputation whispered in studio bathrooms and producer offices. At a time when a queer relationship could end a career, Scotty made the impossible possible. But the arrangement wasn't just about pleasure. It was about control, safety, catharsis. He was a therapist, a confidant, a purveyor of secrets. Stars trusted him not only with their bodies, but with their lives. He stayed quiet for decades, but in 2012, long after many of his clients had died, he published Full Service, a memoir that blew the lid off Hollywood's sex underworld. Some called him a liar, others called him a hero, but no one denied his impact. Scotty died in 2019 at 96, still charming, still sharp, still insisting he never did anything wrong. In a world obsessed with image, he dealt in truth, no matter how messy it got. Number 3. Missy, the unnamed storm in David Niven's memoir. David Niven's autobiography, The Moon's a Balloon, is filled with charm, tragedy, and innuendo. But one character stands out, a woman he calls simply Missy. And though he never names her, the portrait he paints is unforgettable. Missy was stunning, celebrated, Hollywood royalty. But beneath her radiant surface lay a desperation for touch that could not be quenched. According to Niven, she would disappear for days, emerging dazed and bruised, smelling of sweat and perfume. She lived in a haze of pills and parties, throwing herself at lovers with abandon, then vanishing into darkness. Some have speculated she was Lana Turner. Others point to Vivian Leigh, whose battle with bipolar disorder and sexual impulsivity became tragically public. Leigh, especially, was said to have walked into hotel bars, taken strangers to her room, then wept afterward. Whoever Missy truly was, she became a symbol of a deeper pain in Hollywood, a woman whose sensuality became both her weapon and her wound. Her appetite wasn't theatrical, it was existential. She seemed to chase ecstasy not for pleasure but for escape. In one haunting passage, Niven recalls finding her curled up in a fur coat on a hotel bathroom floor, mumbling to herself about God, sin, and how nothing ever filled the hole inside her. She was a mystery, wrapped in silk and shadow. And when she died, young, anonymous, and largely forgotten, she left behind only whispers. But in those whispers lives the ghost of a woman who, for all her beauty, could never find what she was looking for. Number 2. Elizabeth Taylor, Desire's Empress. If Desire had a face in Golden Age Hollywood, it was Elizabeth Taylor's. She was barely a teenager when she captivated America in National Velvet, but by adulthood, she had evolved into something far more potent, a symbol of untamed, unapologetic lust. Taylor didn't just have relationships, she consumed them. She married 8 times, 2 of them to Richard Burton, whose off-screen passion with her scorched headlines and consumed studios. "They fight like cats and dogs," said one insider, "but they can't keep their hands off each other." Their love was volcanic, violent, passionate, transcendent. But Burton was just one chapter. Taylor had affairs with singers, businessmen, actors, princes. She chased romance like a religion. There were rumors of wild orgies in Bel Air, diamonds traded for nights, and men ruined by her gaze. And yet, Elizabeth never apologized. She owned her appetite. She spoke candidly about sex, about wanting to be wanted. "I've only slept with men I've been married to," she once said with a wink. How many women can make that claim? The line blurred the truth, of course, but she said it with such conviction no one dared question her. Her body aged, her face changed, but the hunger stayed, and so did the public's fascination. She wasn't a victim of desire, she was its empress. When she died in 2011, Hollywood dimmed its lights, but the legends of her love and the fire behind those violet eyes still burn. Number 1. Errol Flynn, the beautiful monster. He was Hollywood's golden boy, swashbuckler, heartthrob, the man who made Robin Hood irresistible. But behind Errol Flynn's charm was a hunger that stretched beyond the camera's gaze, a personal life marred by notoriety and whispered controversies. Born in Tasmania in 1909, Flynn took Hollywood by storm in the 1930s. His charisma was magnetic. Women adored him. Men admired him. But his passions weren't always the stuff of movie romances. They were intense, unrelenting, and often the subject of serious scrutiny. Flynn famously kept a yacht, the Zaka, docked nearby, where lavish parties blurred into nights of excess and speculation. In 1942, his name made headlines when he stood trial after serious allegations were brought against him by 2 underage girls. Though he was acquitted, the case left a lasting mark on his legacy and birthed the infamous phrase, "in like Flynn." Rather than shy away from the scandal, Flynn seemed to absorb it into his image. Later stories from insiders like David Niven and Scotty Bowers suggested an even more complex and at times troubling private life, one filled with impulsive behavior and an obsessive pursuit of pleasure. Still, Flynn's allure never faded. Admirers continued to surround him, convinced that the man beneath the headlines could be tamed or changed. But no one ever truly did. He died at just 50, his body worn down by a lifetime of indulgence. His memoir, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, was a fitting title, a raw and revealing look at a man who lived and ultimately unraveled on his own terms. The desire that wouldn't die. They called them nymphomaniacs, addicts, whores, sirens, madwomen. But maybe, just maybe, they were something simpler. Human beings who wanted to feel alive in a town that sold dreams but crushed desire. Behind every velvet curtain there's a story. Behind every perfect face, a hunger. And sometimes behind the glamour, all that's left is a ghost of a touch and a whisper of the fire that once consumed them. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below as it helps support this channel. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our newest videos. Thanks for watching.